Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto fused with the Kyuubi, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto watched the enemy in front of him fall as his claws lacerated the shinobi's chest. He panted a bit, as the 2 hours of straight fighting were starting to take their toll on him. He looked around at his fellow ninja. Many of the lesser-ranked shinobi were beginning to falter, as their chakra and stamina were exhausted. Behind him, Hinata wiped the perspiration on her forehead. Her new Hanyu DNA gave her more stamina than usual, but she was still getting used to it. The wall was momentarily clear, but not free. A sudden barrage of rocks came over from the 4 trebuchets the enemy had. Naruto watched as Tsunade, Lee, Guy, and Sakura managed to crush some of the rocks with their superhuman strength. Others crashed into the wall top, most missing Konoha ninja. A few were injured by the shrapnel. Naruto sighed, and turned to Hinata. You found anything yet? We need to find those leaders. Hinata immediately scanned the ground, her new dojutsu straining. She sighed in defeat. I can't find them. I don't even know where to look. She started feeling despair at her weakness, until Naruto grabbed her, and brought her to look at him. Hinata-chan, don't give up. Just keep trying. I know you can do it. Hinata slowly nodded, and turned back to her task, as Tsunade came over. She looked at the 2 Hanyu, her face worried. We're in trouble. We can hold the wall, if it wasn't for those damn trebuchets. Do either of you think you could do something about them? Naruto looked at them. He studied the still 300-some ninja waiting, and sighed. There might be a way. But it's dangerous, and there is a good chance I'll get caught or killed. If I can sneak down further along the wall, I can slip over, sneak around behind them, and take the trebuchets out. Then I have to get back, which is the hardest part. Hinata grabbed his hand. I'm coming with you. It will give you a better chance. Don't even think about disagreeing with me. Naruto saw the look in her eyes, and sighed. I don't want to lose you, Hinata-hime. You won't. We'll either live together, or together. I promise you that. Naruto nodded, and turned to Tsunade. Keep them distracted for 20 minutes. I'll do the rest. Tsunade nodded, and turned to the ballistae. Give them a good volley. On the ground, 2 ninjas stood near the trebuchets, watching the battle. Kuro, the head of Anbu for the Iwa shinobi, and Nezumi, the strategist for Kumo. They had been placed in command of the assault on Konoha. Now, they watched the battle from a safe distance. So far, they had launched 3 waves against the wall. Half their ninja had rushed the wall. Most had and the few survivors had retreated. But they had kept the Konoha shinobi busy, and thinned the defenders' ranks. Now, their siege weapons were in place, and the constant barrage of rocks was keeping the enemy's head down. Soon, they would launch their final assault. Kuro turned to Nezumi, who was busy looking over her map. Well, what now? How much longer till we can attack? Nezumi sighed, and turned to the action-craving Owain. Patience. We will take the village. They can't possibly be able to stand up to us long. Kuro sighed. Fine. But I just hate waiting like this. Suddenly, the trebuchet farther along suddenly blew up. The ninja working on it screamed in pain, as parts of their bee were off in the explosion. Kuro and Nezumi immediately turned, only to see a slight movement next to the second trebuchet. It disappeared, and a few seconds later, the second siege weapon exploded as well. Now, the other ninjas were falling back, and moving to guard the 3rd and 4th trebuchet. Nezumi quickly scanned the surrounding woods, but saw nothing. What was that? Naruto and Hinata crouched in some tree tops, watching the scene below. Naruto sighed, as he saw the 2 remaining trebuchets come under heavy guard. Well, I got 2. But there are too many for my invisibility genjutsu now. Hinata scanned the group, and suddenly stopped. She gave a small smile. Naruto-kun, I think I've found them. The 2 ninjas there, standing near the 4th trebuchet. The guy in the Iwa Anbu outfit, and the woman from Kumo. Naruto marked both of them in his mind, and nodded. Well, Looks like it's time to introduce them all to the Fox Knight. He pulled up his face mask, pulled up his hood, and performed his familiar jutsu. A dozen Narutos, all armed and ready, appeared with him. The original turned to Hinata. The clones will draw 'em off. We'll hit the leaders while the guards are distracted. Ready. As Hinata nodded, Naruto sent his clones into battle. With roars and demonic fox howls, they rushed into combat. Cage launched another flurry of ice kunai from the wall, aiming for a group of enemies who had cleared a section of the trench, and were hiding in it. 3 were killed by the ice weapons, while another 4 were wounded. He turned to see the shadow clones emerge from the trees, letting loose frightening howls and battle cries. He shook his head in amusement. Kushina, I remember you doing something similar. Looks like your son is more like you than anyone thought. He turned, and launched an explosive tag on a kunai, decimating the rest of the ninjas in the trench. Nezumi and Kuro watched the dozen cloaked figures jump into a swarm of their ninjas. They all had their katanas drawn, and those claw blades unsheathed. They watched in amazement at the skill and speed the clones moved with. One clone blocked an attack with a parry of his katana, before spinning to his left, the claw blades on that side coming around to slash across the ninja's T. Even with their skill they were greatly outnumbered. One clone was impaled with a dozen kunai, while 2 more were destroyed by being sucked into the ground. Nezumi and Kuro suddenly felt 2 chakra signatures moving towards, and spun around to see another Fox Knight, and a dark-haired female Hanyu coming towards them. Naruto held his katana out to his right as he charged Kuro, shouting, I've got this one. Get the other one, Hinata. Naruto slashed upwards with his left claws, but Kuro leaned back. Naruto turned it into a spin to his right, his sword coming around to slash Kuro's chest. It was only a F wound, but it still worried Kuro. Naruto smirked behind his mask. Is that the best you have? I can tell you're at least Anbu. I would think you would be able to dodge one little sword. Kuro had spent years gaining as much control over his emotions. He had trouble with his patience, but other than that, there hadn't been a person alive who could make him angry. But this guy was getting on his nerves. Try this. Earth style, earth bombardment jutsu. A large number of heavy rocks were hurled from the ground, before coming down at the Fox Knight. He looked up at him, his blade held at the ready. Kenjutsu art. Mirage blade slash. With almost unseen movement, Naruto's blade began to slash through the rocks as they fell. Nezumi and Hinata, who were busy straining with their locked kunai, looked over at the shards of demolished rocks raining down around him. He came to a stop, his blade still shining, without a scratch or dent in it. Nezumi turned to Hinata. That's quite a man there. Maybe when he's S, we can learn some of his techniques. The only ones S here are you. Naruto-kun still has to fulfill his dream. And I will make sure he becomes Hokage. The 2 women separated, throwing their kunai at each other. Nezumi began handans for a ninjutsu. Lightning style, static spread jutsu. From her fingers several bolts of lightning leapt out. Hinata dodged to one side, but one bolt seared her jacket, catching it on fire. The Hyuga Hanyu held it off and threw it aside, before settling into her taijutsu stance. She charged forward, her Juken strike causing Nezumi to duck. But Hinata turned into a sweeping kick, which knocked the Kumo shinobi over. Hinata was about to strike, when Nezumi spun her back, her feet knocking Hinata back. Naruto's katana was locked with 2 kunai held by Kuro. He tried to punch with his left, his claws extended, but Kuro flipped over him. Naruto turned, panting. He couldn't keep this up forever. Sure, he was a Hanyu of Kyuubi, but his human half was still limited. Hinata was the same way, even worse, since her stamina was lower than Naruto's. They had to finish this, and fast. Naruto struck his sword in the ground, and started performing hand signs. He finished, and bit his thumb, before slamming the hand into the ground, shouting, summoning jutsu. In a puff of smoke, 2 foxes appeared. One was red-furred, with 4 tails. The other was blue, with 3 tails. They turned to Naruto and bowed. What do you need of us? Naruto nodded to both of them. I need you to transform, and help us in battle. Ken, you help me. Yari, go to Hinata, and help her as best you can. Ken nodded and leapt into the air, transforming into a second katana, which looked similar to Kitsune no Hogosha, except the fox head at the base of the hilt. Naruto grabbed the blade with his left hand. He held both of them at the ready. Yari ran over to Hinata, who was trading blows with Nezumi. Hinata managed to knock Nezumi back, when Yari came up. Naruto-sama sent me to help you. Please, trust me. The female fox turned into a long blue spear, with a fox head below the blade. Hinata hesitantly grabbed the spear, and suddenly felt a presence with her. I am Yari, one of the demon fox weapons. Me and my fellow summons transform into weapons to help the one we serve. I know you don't have any training in weapons outside of kunai and shuriken. Please just trust me, and let me guide you. Hinata nodded, and opened her mind to the presence. Suddenly she felt like the spear in her hand was a natural part of her. She watched as Nezumi charged forward, and blocked the kunai with the spear pole. She suddenly felt herself moving in battle stances she had never learned. She espered at Nezumi, but when the blade was parried away, she spun around, bring the spear blade sing down. Auto FN, Yari's style of spear fighting will be influenced by Sungmina's fighting from Soul Calibur 2. Nezumi barely managed to jump back, as the spear blade crashed into the ground. Hinata pulled the spear back quickly, holding it at the ready. In her mind, she was wondering what it was exactly that she was doing. Nezumi rushed forward, secretly drawing a second kunai. As Hinata blocked the strike from the first, the second kunai flashed, slashing open Hinata's left arm. She backed up, holding the wound for a few seconds. When she pulled her hand away, it was already beginning to seal up. What? How are you able to do that? Naruto-kun gave me a great gift. He saved my life, and made me stronger than before. Hinata held the spear at the ready, when Yari sent her imagine into her head. Hinata nodded. It is time to end this. Yarajutsu art. Gale barrage. Hinata channeled chakra into the spear, as she began to spin it on one side of her, then the other. As the spear spun back and forth, the chakra intensified, before flying off like scything wind blades. Nemuzi tried to dodge, but couldn't get away fast enough. The blades of chakra cut into her, knocking her back against a tree. She fell to the ground, bleeding to death out of numerous wounds. Hinata bowed her head. I am sorry, but I will protect my home, and those precious to me. Naruto's katana slashed open Kuro's right shoulder, causing the Anbu captain to back up. Naruto held one blade forward, and the other above his head. Kuro looked at him in fear, and wondered where the other ninjas were. They should have come to his aid by now. He turned, and looked in horror as his men were fleeing, now being chased by hordes of ninjas from Suna. Gaara, the Kazekage, was at the head of them, catching ninjas in his sand, and crushing them. Kuro turned back to Naruto, who smiled behind his mask. It's over. Surrender, try to run, or else fighting. Doesn't matter to me. Kuro glared at him in hatred. I will finish you off at least. He rushed forward, ready for one final blow. Naruto shook his head. Wrong answer. Kitsune Kenjutsu art. Twin star slash. With that, Naruto attacked, his blade slashing in his opponent's body. He stopped there, and then his body separated along 10 slash lines, that had formed 2 stars. Naruto slowly bowed to his enemy's corpse, before cleaning both swords. With a nod to the one sword, it transformed back to the 4-tailed fox. Hinata's spear also transformed back. The 2 foxes bowed to Naruto and Hinata, before disappearing. Naruto dropped next to a tree, and leaned back against it, panting. Hinata came over, and sat next to him. The 2 looked at each, and smiled, grabbing each other's hands. Naruto leaned over, and kissed Hinata. You did spectacular out there. Hinata giggled, as Naruto's tail wrapped around hers. They both sat there for several minutes, kissing, until 3 Suna ninjas came over. Naruto looked up, to see Temari giggling, Kankuro giving him a lecherous smile, and Gaara watching them with the neutral expression his face always had. Naruto blushed, while smiling embarrassingly. He rubbed the back of his head. Hey guys, have you met my girlfriend? Gaara shook his head. No, I am Gaara, Kazekage of Suna. This is my brother Kankuro, and my sister Temari. Hinata bowed her head. I'm Hinata, formerly of the Hyuga clan. It is an honor to meet you, Gaara-sama. Naruto helped her to her feet, and turned back to the former Jinchuriki of Shukaku. I'm glad you guys got here when you did. I don't think we would have been able to get out of this alive. Gaara shrugged his shoulders. I owed both Konoha and you my life. Anything I can do to pay back that debt, I will do it. Tsunade approached, along with several of her ninjas. She bowed to Gaara, who returned the bow. I thank you for your aid. You have saved many lives, and we owe you much. As for you two, you did an excellent job out there. Nicely done. Naruto and Hinata both bowed in acknowledgement. Tsunade turned to look along the wall. Several sections were heavily damaged. She sighed as she saw a Konoha ninja lying on the ground near the base of the wall. We need to start gathering the S. The wounded have already been taken to the hospital. With a nod, they scattered to begin gathering the B of their comrades. Naruto stopped Hinata for a moment, and held her face in his hands. Are you okay? His face showed he was worried. Hinata nodded. I'm a little horrified at some of the lives I took. I know that it was to defend Konoha, but I hate taking life. Naruto kissed her forehead. It's all right. You have a good and kind heart. That is one of the many things I love about you. Hinata, don't be ashamed of who you are. If you can, spare an enemy, unless they truly don't deserve life. But if you do take life, take it honorably. Hinata nodded, and moved close to Naruto. He hugged her, giving her comfort. Finally she pulled back, and smiled. Thank you, Naruto-kun. You always know what to say to make me feel better. Naruto smiled. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? Come on, let's get to work. The two of them moved on, to remove the S from the field. Hiashi watched the two Hanyu moving across the field. He had his Hyuga watch the two during the fight, and what they had reported had continued to affirm what he had learned in Naruto's apartment. She has gained courage, and with it, her skills have increased. Especially with her Hanyu powers. And that Dojutsu, Dokashogun. It would make an excellent addition to the Hyuga clan. Hiashi looked at the sky, thinking. We need her back. She will help the clan, make it stronger. But as long as Namikaze is around, she will never return to the clan. We must deal with him, if we are to strengthen the clan. But we must be subtle. He turned to the two Hyugas nearby. Report back to the clan. Have the elders ready to meet when I return. Yes, Hiashi-sama. The two disappeared. Hiashi turned back to watch Naruto and Hinata. We will be strong. And you will not stop us, Demon SC. The following day, memorial services were held to honor those who had S in defense of the village. Out of the ninja, 22 ninjas had been killed, and another 5 had been crippled for life. As per tradition, the entire shinobi force, as well as those related to the deceased, paid their final respects to the S. Naruto silently approached the dais with the pictures of the S, and bowed his head, his tail and ears drooping down. Hinata and Kage stood next to him, paying their own respect. As they finished, they stepped away, as others came up. Naruto held Hinata's hand, as they silently prayed for those who had lost loved ones. As the memorial ended, they walked away, with Kage behind them. Hinata clutched Naruto's arm. Many people bowed in respect, as they had learned of the role the two had played in the defense of the village. Naruto looked at his girlfriend. Hinata-chan. I was wondering, would you like for me to train you? Hinata looked up, as Naruto continued. There are some things I could teach you, besides fully understanding, and using your Hanyu abilities. If you would like me to. I can understand if you don't want me to. Hinata smiled, and nodded. Naruto-kun, I would love for you to train me. But, what about my teammates? Naruto thought for a moment, then shrugged. Well, we could train with them, or before or after them. I wasn't asking you to stop working with them. Hinata smiled, and hugged his arm. Let's talk to them. I'm sure they would love to train with you as well. Kage smiled, as he watched the happy couple. He was happy to see his student's son so happy, especially after he had learned of the boy's life. Kushina, I wish you could see your son. He seems truly happy. Kage sighed, as he wished he could see his former pupil. In the meeting room of the Hyuga main house, the elders had convened again. Hiashi had explained what he had learned about Hinata, and had proposed a plan to bring her back into the clan. Now, they were ready to give him the decision. Hiashi-sama, we have decided to accept your plan. But know that if it should fail, we will state that we had no knowledge of your intentions. Do you accept this? Hiashi nodded. I understand. I thank you. He bowed, then stood and left. He smiled. Very well. It is time to end the threat of someone usurping the Hyuga's rightful place as the strongest clan in Konoha. Soon, demon brat, you will be gone. Night was falling over Konoha. The day had been a busy one, as ninjas from Konoha and Suna were busy repairing the battered section of the wall. Now, most returned to their homes, while others stayed to watch for any additional threats. Suna placed the pen she had been writing with down on the desk, and looked over the two docents in front of her. Both of them were terms of agreement with Iwa and Kumo asking for an immediate ceasefire. She had already written letters to the daimyo of the Land of Fire, as well as Konoha's other allies. With them behind her, Tsunade felt that dealing with Iwa and Kumo could be less of a problem. Especially with Naruto and Hinata, she thought. The two Hanyu had done an incredible job in trashing the enemy trebuchets, and taking out their leaders. She sat back, letting the ink dry on the docents. She reached down, and pulled out one of her many hidden sake bottles. She smiled as she took a drink from it. Looks like things are looking up. Hiyashi stood on a rooftop near the Namika's apartment. The only light was in the living room, where Hiyashi, using his Byakugan, had confirmed Naruto was sitting. He turned to the three figures nearby. You know what to do. Yes, Hiyashi-sama. They disappeared, as Hiyashi turned back to look at the apartment. It is time. Naruto smiled, as he put the finishing touch on the object he was working with. He slid it into his weapons pouch, and put away the writing equipment he had been using. He stretched as he stood up, yawning. Hinata had already gone to bed, and Naruto was about ready to do the same, when there was a knock on the door. He sighed as he went to answer it. This better be good, he muttered as he opened the door. He was surprised at who he found. Sakura, what are you doing here? Tsunade-sensei needs you, Naruto. It's an emergency. Sakura reached in and grabbed him, pulling him out into the hall. Naruto swatted her arm off of him. All right. Give me a chance to grab my stuff. He placed his cloak around his shoulders, grabbed his sword, gloves, and face mask, and put them on as they headed out. As they exited the building, Naruto suddenly unsheathed his sword. You can drop the act now. You're not Sakura. What are you talking about? Of course I'm Sakura. No, because if Bar-chan needed me for an emergency, she would have sent an Anbu, or someone else who could teleport to my apartment. She wouldn't send a Chunin who would have to run on foot. Naruto suddenly lashed out with his left hand, punching Sakura in the face. As she fell back, she disappeared in a cloud of smoke, to be replaced with a Hyuga. He fell on his back, as two more appeared next to him. Naruto gave a deep sigh of frustration. I knew this wasn't over. Look, can we just drop this? I have no desire to hurt any shinobi of this village, even if they are attacking me. The middle Hyuga stood up. Well, we have no problems, King Yu, Demon SC. Naruto sighed. Well, that's 5 years hard labor for you. Want to go farther? The three Hyugas charged forward. Naruto sheathed his katana, and took up a defensive stance, performing his favorite hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 2 shadow clones appeared, and the 3 of them each took on a Hyuga. The first Hyuga tried a Juken strike to his Naruto's heart, only for it to be deflected aside. The Naruto drove a fist into the Hyuga's stomach, so hard that it actually caused the stomach wall to burst, and digestive acid poured into the man's body, eating his organs. He dropped, screaming in pain, before his N was broken. The second Hyuga had gone with a strike to the head, which, Naruto, had ducked under. As he did, the clone unsheathed the claws of his gloves, and cut the man's hamstrings, dropping him to his knees, before plunging the claws into the man's chest, finishing him. The real Naruto dodged the middle Hyuga's Juken strikes to his head. The Hyuga dropped into the position for one of the Hyuga's main offensive jutsus. You are within my divination range. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. But as he was about to strike, Naruto finished 3 hand signs. Tiger, Ox, Tiger. Clear Shield Jutsu. As the Hyuga struck, his attack was stopped an inch from Naruto. The other strikes were stopped as well, and the Hyuga fell back. What is this jutsu? None of your concern. Now prepare to find your comrades in the afterlife. Naruto finished another set of hand signs. Wind style, suffocation jutsu. Suddenly, the air around the Hyuga became so dense, he couldn't breathe. He fell to the ground, clutching his tea, as his face became purple. After a few moments, he fell over, his brain shutting down. Naruto held the jutsu for another minute, until he knew that it was done. He looked at the 3B, as his clones dissipated. I'm sorry. I wouldn't have killed you, but you would have faced a far more painful execution at Nei-chan's hands. As will you. Naruto turned to see Hiashi strike at him with a kunai. Naruto was barely able to move enough that the kunai struck him in the shoulder, instead of his heart. Naruto struck him with an open palm strike, knocking Hiashi back. He reached up, and pulled the kunai out, before breaking it in half with his fist. The wound sealed up, as Hiashi took up his stance. Naruto shook his head. Hiashi, this must stop. You are endangering the village, and your own clan, by your continued attacks and attempts against me. I will give you mercy one more time. Leave, and I will say nothing. No, I will kill you here, Demon SC. Then I will take Hinata away, and she will breed a new race of Hyugas, which will rule over Konoha. This is the destiny of the Hyuga clan. Naruto stood straight. The purpose of all the clans is to serve and protect the village, not become its tyrants. For the good of Konoha, I will stop you, even if I must take your life. Just try, Demon SC. Hiashi rushed forward again, striking with his left hand. Naruto leaned to the right, the Juken strike passing within centimeters of his face. He struck Hiashi with an open right palm blow to his chest, knocking the Hyuga head back again. But this time, Hiashi threw a kunai at Naruto. He ducked, catching the kunai with his tail, and flinging it back. Hiashi managed to dodge it, and returned to his Juken stance. Naruto waited in his own stance, watching Hiashi. Suddenly, Hiashi threw several smoke bombs down, enshrouding both of them. Using his Byakugan, he rushed forward, and struck at Naruto, who couldn't see him. His fist struck Naruto's head, destroying his brain. Suddenly, that Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. Hiashi looked around with his Byakugan, and spotted Naruto on a nearby roof. Naruto's hands were in a ram hand sign. Grass-style, dandelion bomb jutsu. Hundreds of dandelions' heads appeared in the air over Hiashi, who smirked. You intend to hurt me with flowers. Pathetic. Even the simple flower can be more than it appears. Surrender, or else Hiashi. When Hiashi drew another kunai, Naruto released the jutsu. As one, the dandelions fell, and exploded in a shower of petals. But the petals were hardened and sharpened. Hiashi was cut in numerous places, but he managed to perform the rotation, deflecting the rest. As he slowed down, Naruto reached into his weapons pouch, and pulled out several kunai. But these were the tri-pronged kunai his father had used. He threw them down around Hiashi, then finished the hand signs for a second jutsu. Grass-style, rose sword jutsu. 100 roses grew from the ground, and entwined themselves into a blade. Naruto activated his father's jutsu, the Hiraishin, and disappeared in a flash of gold. As Hiashi stopped spinning, Naruto struck with the rose sword. The thorns of the roses fell into Hiashi's arm, and left dozens of lacerations, leaving the arm completely useless. Hiashi screamed in agony, clutching his wound. Naruto continued to attack, leaving Hiashi covered in L from the thorns, before stopping in front of Hiashi. The Hyuga head looked up at the Hanyu before him. What are these jutsus? How can you control plants like this? How can you perform the Hiraishin so soon? The 9 bijus are still creatures of this planet. They have the power to create, as well as destroy. With Kyuubi, I can call upon plants to aid me, but not as well as some of the other bijus. This blade, made of roses, L an opponent's F, instead of cutting it. It also unleashes a poison, which is now seeping into your body. Within a few minutes, you will be S. As for the Hiraishin, it is simple to figure out, when you know what to look for. Hiashi collapsed against the ground, and Naruto knelt down next to him. Now is the time to redeem yourself, Hiashi. Tell me if this will be the last attempt by your family, or if there will be more. Hiashi looked up at him with dimming eyes. There won't be another. My plan was our best hope. If you can defeat me, you are too strong for any of us. Naruto nodded. I will give proof that you were ambushed by rogue ninjas, and assassinated, as were those 3. I will also say that I came upon the battle, slew the enemies, and burned their bee. No blame will befall you clan for what happened here. Rest now, Hiashi, and let death claim you. Hiashi's head dropped, and he lay on the ground. A minute later, his breathing stopped. Naruto dropped his head. Hinata, forgive me. The next day, word spread that Lord Hiashi Hyuga, as well as 3 of his clan, had been ambushed and killed by rogue ninjas. Naruto Namikaze had eliminated the enemies, and brought the bee of the Hyugas to the morgue. Almost everyone believed the story. Only the Hyuga elders, and Naruto knew the truth. Naruto, unable to keep the truth from Hinata, told her the real story, and begged for her forgiveness. She simply hugged him, telling him it was all right, and that she was just happy he was safe. A memorial service was held for the 4 Hyugas, and then they were burned, so their Byakugans couldn't fall into a grave robber's hands. Hinata had attended the funeral with Naruto. The Hyuga elders barely glanced at him, but Naruto knew they were furious at what had happened. Hanabi came over to Hinata, as did Neji, and the 3 watched the body of their father Outerfunkel being burned. Hanabi stood there, watching. Ne-chan, was he ever a good father? Hinata looked at her younger sister, and then slowly shook her head. No, Imuoto. I think he was too concerned with the clan's position, and not with his family. Hanabi slowly nodded. She looked over at the elders. What will happen now? Neji sighed. The elders will control the clan, until either a replacement heir can be found, or you grow old enough, Hanabi-sama. I fear that dark days may be ahead for the Hyuga clan. Hanabi slowly looked up at her cousin. When I become heiress, I will bring about the light for our clan. Ne-chan has the right idea for the Hyugas. But I will be the one to bring the 2 branches together. I promise. Naruto nodded. I believe she can. Hanabi, I promise my support for you. If ever you need anything, tell me. Hanabi nodded. Ne-chan, he is a good catch. You best hold on to him. Hinata smiled, as she held Naruto's hands, and their tails wrapped themselves around each other. I will, for as long as he wants me. Naruto leaned over, and whispered into her ear. Till the end of time, and beyond, Hinaheim. As the funeral ended, Naruto and Hinata walked back to their apartment. Naruto sighed as he looked at Hinata. So what do you want to do now? We could start training, or wait till tomorrow. Hinata was thoughtful for a moment, then nodded her head. Training sounds good. I want to become as strong as possible, so that we will fight well together. Naruto nodded. All right, but be warned. I won't go easy on you. Hinata smiled happily. I wouldn't expect less. The 2 quickly returned home, changed, gathered their equipment, and headed to training ground number 5. It was the training ground where Naruto became a genin, and he and Hinata had talked before his fight with Neji. It held a special place in both of their hearts. Naruto placed his weapons nearby, and turned to Hinata. First, we have to raise your physical strength, speed, and endurance. They are stronger now because of your transformation, but still below where they could be. So let's get to work. They spent the next 3 hours running, doing sit-ups, push-ups, and every exercise to increase their strength and endurance. Naruto had Hinata put on weights, so her speed would increase. When they were done, Naruto had her sit, while he explained some abilities that came with being a Hanyu. Because you and I are Hanyu from the DNA of Kyuubi, we actually gain a number of useful jutsus. One of them you have already seen. The fox weapon summons. With this jutsu, you can summon 1 or more foxes, who can transform into weapons. The handseals are ox, monkey, ram, tiger, dragon, and then this one, for fox. Naruto held his left hand in a fist, placed against the palm of his right hand. His pinky and ring fingers of his right hand curved over the knuckles of his left, while his middle and index fingers were pointed up. Auto FN, for better visual aid, thing of half dog, and half rat or tiger. I don't know what the real fox hand sign would be, so I made one up. Then you use blood, and summon who you wish. You've already met Yari, spear, and Ken, sword. There is also Ida, bow, and Ryu, axe. These 4 will aid you in battle. Naruto performed the hand signs, bit his thumb for blood, and slammed his hand down. In a puff of smoke, 4 foxes appeared. Ken and Yari bowed to Hinata, while a black fox with 2 tails, and a brown fox with only 1 tail merely nodded their heads. Naruto pointed to them. Ryu is the one with 2 tails, and the other is Ida. Today, we will begin training in using them. All right. As Hinata nodded, Naruto let Ryu and Ida disappear, but had Ken and Yari stay. As it stands, you're most familiar with Yari, so you should train with her first. Yari once again bowed to Hinata. It is an honor to serve you again, my lady. Hinata bowed. The honor is mine, Yari-san. Yari changed into her spear form, while Ken transformed into a sword. Naruto picked him up, and turned to Hinata, who was picking up Yari. In the battle, Yari was guiding your body in combat. Unfortunately, this is not as good as you being able to do the fighting yourself, as Yari is limited by her own reaction timing. Allow Yari's knowledge to flow through your mind, and memorize her techniques, her moves, and her stances. Hinata nodded, and closed her eyes. For a full minute, she stood there, her tail and ears twitching. Then she opened her eyes, and assumed her fighting stance. Naruto nodded. Excellent. You're picking this up faster than I did. Naruto walked over, and adjusting her stance, then backed up, and held Ken at the ready. Since we're training, the edges of Yari's and Ken's blades are dull. But they can still break bones with enough force behind them, so be careful. Hinata nodded, then suddenly spun around, bringing the spear blade around in a 360-degree circle. Naruto leaned back, and the blade missed him by inches. He leaned back up, and kept going, falling into a forward roll, and subbing forward as he came out of it. Hinata jumped back, and held Yari in a defensive stance. Naruto watched her, and slowly began to circle around her. Hinata followed him, her eyes concentrated on his every move. He suddenly lunged forward, slashing down at her. She used her spear to deflect his attack to the side, leaving him off-balanced. She quickly struck with the haft of the spear, knocking Naruto over. But he turned it into a roll, and leapt to his feet, as Hinata charged after him. She S-sped forward, but Naruto deflected the S up and to the side, while he ducked down in the opposite direction. He was quickly under her guard, and Ken tickled her T as Naruto held the blade there. Naruto's eyes shone in admiration. Not bad for your first time. Just be careful not to charge your enemy so eagerly. The spear is good for keeping enemies at a distance, but is rather weak close quarters like this. Hinata nodded, her face blushing at how close she and Naruto were. Naruto noticed and placed Ken to the side, before pulling her close, and kissing her. He pulled away, a smile on his face. Have I mentioned how much I love your blushes? Hinata smiled. You might have said something about them before. Naruto smiled, then picked Ken back up. Right, time to get back to work. They continued training, and after a couple of hours, Hinata had managed to last almost half an hour against Naruto in combat. As Ken and Yari disappeared back to their summoning realm, Naruto hugged Hinata, praising her efforts. You did awesome, Hinata-chan. You picked up on fighting with Yari so fast, it's unbelievable. Hinata merely smiled, and blushed at his praise. It was something rather new to her. Her father had always been critical, and never thought that her best was good enough. Shino, Kiba, and Kurenai had given her praise, but not that often, because she had rarely done anything spectacular. But Naruto praised her even over the simplest accomplishment, and gave her endless encouragement. Inside, the years of being told she was weak and worthless were being washed away. Naruto smiled as he held out his arm. I think we should go celebrate. May I escort my lady home, so we can change and go out for a night on the town? Hinata nodded. I would like that, my kind sir. They both laughed, as Hinata took his arm, and they headed back home. In the Akatsuki member known as Toby appeared to be wandering aimlessly. In truth, he was heading to Pain's chamber, and in truth, his real name was Madara Uchiha, co-founder of Konoha. He entered Pain's room, where the Rinnegan wielder was watching the ever-falling raindrops of his homeland. What is it, Madara-sama? Madara came and stood next to him. Itachi is fighting Sasuke. Pain looked up at him. So, the mighty Itachi fell to his little brother. And what of Sasuke? I've recruited him, and his team, into Akatsuki. Even now, they are preparing to go after the Haichibi in Kumo. I heard they suffered a defeat against Konoha, as did Iwa. I also heard something else. Madara turned to Pain as he continued. I heard that the Iwa and Kumo forces were defeated largely in part by a pair of Hanyu. Kitsune Hanyu. It would seem that Naruto is not just the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi anymore. Madara sighed. This alters our plans. Extracting a biju from its container is one thing. Extracting the biju when it has merged with the Jinchuriki is a lot harder, and more complicated. I want you and Conan to oversee his capture, personally. Pain nodded. We will leave in the morning, and be back with Naruto within the week. Be careful. I have heard rumors of my own. Naruto may be more than he appears to be. Pain nodded, as Madara left. Outside the room, Madara contemplated what he had learned. If Naruto is a Hanyu, then he is the mysterious Fox Knight. But this second Hanyu, that troubles me. I doubt that even I have the strength to fight two Hanyu, if they were properly trained. Especially if the rumors about you are true, Naruto Uzumaki. X. Sasuke left the secret Akatsuki base he and Team Taka, Hawk, had been training and recuperating in. Many things were going through his head. The truth about Itachi, Konoha, and Naruto had shattered his world, and now he would rebuild a new one. He would honor his brother's memory, and his clan's, by crushing those who had truly caused the Uchiha harem. As for Naruto, Sasuke would enjoy going after him personally. That stupid Dobe wasn't stronger than me at all. It was just the power of the Kyuubi that made him more powerful. Without it, he's nothing. And I will prove it. Naruto Uzumaki, I will find you, and crush you. X. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.